Um, what I want to talk about now really is about women and journeys and traveling and that piece of my life because there was a moment in about 1986 when I was between novels and I was having lunch with my editor, and the New York Times had just published the book review just had a summer special of travel books, all travel books, and they were all by men. There were 27 books by men. And I had traveled all over the world, and I'd been to like millions and millions of places. And over lunch, I said to my editor, gee, it's so strange, I don't really understand. Why is it that women don't write about travel? All these, these are only men writing about travel. And she said, well, Mary, you go everywhere all the time. I never know where you are. Why don't you write about your journeys? And literally, again, in the sense of being a woman and being somebody who moved through the world, it hadn't really occurred to me that what happened to me on my journeys would be the same as what happened to a writer such as Paul Theroux or Bruce Chatwin, that my experiences seemed quite different than the experiences of those writers. But I decided that I would think about doing a travel book, and what I did was I went out and I bought a bunch of those 27 books by men, and I thought I should read them because I didn't really know what a travel book was like. I didn't really know what it would be like. And as I read them, it occurred to me, I felt that women move through the world differently than men. My own experiences of being a woman, going different places, the kinds of concerns that I have seem very different to me than those of the men who traveled. I worried when I was walking down a dark street late at night. There were places I had to think about before I would go there. I remember when a bus dropped me off on the border between Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala, and there was no bus till the next morning, and I didn't know where I was going to spend the night. I thought, what am I going to do? Now, I just spoke in Tucson with a guy who rides his bicycles through deserts. Like he rode a bike from Cairo to the Dead Sea, if you can try to imagine that bike ride. And he just, he'll sleep on a sand dune. It doesn't worry him at all. But, I began to think, how do women go through the world? What are the things that concern women? And I decided to write a book that addressed those concerns. And that was my first travel memoir. And it was called Nothing to Declare, Memoirs of a Woman Traveling Alone. And that book, I tried to really capture what it was like to be a single woman moving through a macho culture. Now, that book has been translated into German with an extremely unfortunate title of Machos und Tortillas. But don't let the title fool you. I really, to begin, I can't even begin to explain why they, I will tell you why. My German publisher told me that Nothing to Declare had a slightly authoritarian ring to it that did not feel that German audiences would relate to, that it seemed too police-like, and they didn't like it. So I thought, okay, I can see that, but machos and tortillas? I mean, that's like got a whole other ring to it that as a woman, I really didn't like. Anyway, so I've gone on to write actually 4 travel memoirs now. The 4th one just came out. And each journey that I've taken has sort of reflected a different moment in my life as a woman and as a writer. So Nothing to Declare was about my journeys through Mexico as a single woman, kind of traveling through a macho land. That's true. That part of the title, I suppose, is true. The next book was called Wall to Wall, From Beijing to Berlin by Rail, and I traveled from Beijing to Berlin on the Trans-Siberian Railroad in searching for family. I was looking for my own family. I was looking to have a family, so it's about the search for family. The third one is called Angels and Aliens, A Journey West, in which I was a single mother living in California, and I was trying to cope with being a single mother, and I began infiltrating New Age groups that had been, where people believed they'd been taken by aliens and things like that, and I flew as an angel through the Crystal Cathedral. They have an angel training. Do you know the Crystal Cathedral? It has a very, very high, they're Eastern Christmas pageants. Women fly as angels in angel costumes, and I went there posing as a reporter for the New York Times, which I wasn't, but well, I was, I mean, in a sense, but I wasn't really a reporter for the New York Times. I had done articles for the New York Times. But they make you at the end of your, I suppose this kind of punishment for being a journalist, they make you fly, they put you in this halter and they fly you through the cathedral. So that book is all about sort of Right, horrible. It's sort of, that book was really about that sort of experience of trying to understand the need for coping and penetrating these other groups who cope with life in very strange ways.